of a treat. So it's a delight to see everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We have some special guests here today joining us. 4 of the amazing women who have been through the Career Level Up program. Joining us today, we've got Elisa, Cecilia, Asifa, and Nikki as well. So I wanted to give them an opportunity to quickly introduce themselves and their story. And then I'm happy to open it up to everyone. Feel free to just chat me if you've got any questions in particular. But otherwise, I can just sort of ask the ladies questions. But then if you've got questions, you can either take yourself off mute or just send me a chat, and happy to put those questions to them as well, so that you can get a sense of, from real world people, it's not just statistics and emails. There were actually people who've been through it and had some of the benefits. So in the interest of being super transparent and letting you have this access to them as well, I thought this would be a great opportunity. So listen, why don't we start? Asifa, do you want to quickly give us, we'll get everyone on the pin screen to give us a quick tweet-sized introduction, and then we'll open it up to questions. Go ahead, Asifa.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Meggie, for inviting me for this opportunity to talk to everybody here today. So Asifa Shirazi, if you guys are in Sydney, I'm based in Sydney. I work for a bank called Westpac. And in fact, I've just started my new role this week. As head of technology, looking after a couple of lines of business, so private wealth and cash management. And I have to say, testament to a lot of the confidence boost that I got from Meggie and the cohort, which has made me successful in actually landing this role. So I'm really pleased. And yeah, mother of 2, and that's my second job. But yeah, looking forward to all of the questions that you guys want to shoot at us. Looking forward to answering them.
That sounds awesome. Thanks, Asifa. And I should say, in the interest of full transparency, I haven't given the cohort any talking points. I've said to them, please be fully transparent and open, because, you know, that's important to me. So don't feel like I told Asifa to say that. It's very generous, Asifa. But I want to get into, I know you've had a lot of success, so we'll talk about that. Cecilia, you're next on my video screen.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Cecilia Gondek. I am based in DC, and I work for Deloitte, which is a gigantic consulting firm, in case you're unfamiliar with it. And I am about to get a promotion from work that I would say also was helped along by the course with all of our great talking points and how to really promote yourself. And then I'm actually looking to change careers a little bit into more of a nonprofit sector. And I've been applying to some things and really upped my resume game and everything. So it was a really great program, and all of the women were fantastic. And so I really enjoyed it. Thanks, Maggie.
You're so welcome. Thanks, Cecilia. I appreciate that. Elisa, nice to see you. I feel like this feels like a bit of a reunion as well.
It does indeed. Good afternoon, evening, whatever the right word is, wherever you are in the world. My name is Elisa Bunton, and I am in Chicago, Illinois. I work for Illinois Institute of Technology, and like the other 2 ladies that you heard from, I received a raise, and I also credit that to the program. The tenets that Meggie will teach you are invaluable, and they are also transferable. And I'm looking forward to my actual annual review, because it's at that point that I'm going to request my title change, because I function at a level higher than what the actual title is. But I'm still overjoyed that in the middle of a pandemic, when most people lost a job, I got a raise. And I really do attribute that to Meggie. And I also look forward to answering any and every question that you have about the program, what fears, apprehensions, or just skepticisms. I'm here to help you wade through all of that.
Oh, thank you, Elisa. That's awesome. And yeah, that's such a good point that you made, because you did get that raise in the middle of the pandemic at a time where the institution had actually said no raises, right? So that was quite, I mean, it's unusual anyway because it was a pandemic, but especially for you because the institution had said no during that time.
Right.
Yeah. Love that. Okay, good. Well, I'm also excited for you to get that promotion bump as well, because I know that's something we've been talking about. So you're going to have to keep us posted on that one. Thank you. Nikki, I know it's so early where you are because you're joining us from Brisbane. Is it 6 a.m., 6:30?
No. So daylight savings finished. So
Okay.
we're back in line with Sydney now in Brisbane.
Still early though.
Still early, yeah. That's
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, hello everyone, and it's lovely to be here to talk about Meggie's course. I've been in TV as a journalist and producer for 20 years. About 18 months ago, I decided to start my own business in consulting. And I guess I really went into Meggie's course seeking clarity and a lot of direction because I wasn't sure whether I had made the right move. Did I want to go back into full-time work or stick with what I was doing? And I really did get clarity. That's the biggest thing for me, a lot of direction and confidence in what I wanted to do with my career. And in the end, that was to stick with my own consultancy, and Meggie helped me negotiate with a great client, secured a really good title. And so, yeah, that's been really great for me. So I've loved it.
Thanks, Nikki. That's awesome. So we've got quite the cross section of students here today. So we've got people who are working at really big, large, ASX, Fortune 500 type end of town companies. Then we've got people who are working more in the educational not-for-profit space. And then also Nikki, who's running her own business and consultancy. So it's I'm hoping that that's like a good cross section for you all. So if you have questions, please pop it in the chat to me, and you can just send it confidentially if you like, and I'll put that question to the women. I might start with you, Asifa. I mean, when you think about what was the key thing, if you were to sort of say to your best mate or someone at work, like for you, what's the one thing that kind of stood out that you feel like was a shift that you didn't have before, or a skill that you didn't have that you can kind of carry forward? And I'll do a round robin on this one too.
Yeah, thanks, Meggie. I think the biggest thing for me, and there were a lot of tools that we learned, guys. I mean, I was thinking about them yesterday and I couldn't count them on my fingers in terms of the tips and tricks that Meggie taught us. But I think the biggest thing for me personally was getting rid and overcoming the awkwardness and the shyness about promoting myself. Because the positioning statement that we did up at the start and the skills assessment that we did up at the start with Gallup strength and the 16 personalities, and actually writing down your positioning statement, talking about it in front of all the fabulous ladies that were part of the cohort, gave us a little bit of strength every single time we did that, which sort of I overcame my lack of confidence and the awkwardness in being able to say, hey, you know what? I lead a team of 200 people. I'm running projects of 100 million plus. I've done X, Y, Z. I'm a CEO finalist. So I was able to say that without feeling nervous and feeling guilty. I know it's a bit weird, but that was what was going on in my head. I got a bit guilty of the success, so why should I say it? But Meggie gave me all of that confidence. The ladies in the cohort really help identify and harness that ability as a team as well. So you talk and you're sort of growing every week. You're growing a little bit as a person and building that confidence up. And in the 12 weeks, I was saying to Meggie, we unleashed all this confidence and unshackled all the restraints, and we were just unstoppable.
I love that. The unshackling of the confidence. That should be our new sort of website title. I love that. Cecilia, you work with some huge clients and you've had a very big job during COVID, helping manage that change management piece and supporting companies and institutions and clients through that. So you're very successful and you're pretty confident anyway, I would have said. But what was the biggest change that you noticed in yourself?
Yeah, I think especially, Asifa did a great job describing kind of, unshackling there. But I think, figuring out how to say that to people in a way that didn't feel like you were bragging. It was just like, yes, I do these things, and so I should talk about them, instead of being like, yeah, well, I did that thing and it was fine. Like, just a shift in mindset, I think, for me. And I think that really helps with meetings with big clients too, but also, going into interviews or just going into networking meetings, just being able to be like, yes, this is who I am, this is what I've done, and not having to be like, well, hedging it like my team did this. It was just sort of like a little bit of a shift for me.
Interesting. That's so interesting that you say that. Thank you. Elisa, for you, a lot of people have been asking, if I work for a not-for-profit, is there any point doing this course? If I work for a small startup, is there any point? If I work for an educational institution, is there any point? Because they always say there's no budget. You're kind of a really interesting example to me because you sort of bucked the trend on that, because you do work in that space, that sort of educational space, and you managed to get a raise during COVID and it was significant. So can you talk people through who might be like, oh, but like it's not going to happen because, you know, where I work always says there's no money. You've kind of bucked the trend on that.
Sure. I guess what I'd want to start off saying is every not-for-profit functions much like your own home. You can know that you have the electric bill, the gas bill, and the mortgage, and you can clearly say, yeah, no, I don't have any money for anything else. But if there's a shiny new trinket, or if something catastrophic happens and you need to, you know, find the money to handle that, you do it. So higher ed and not-for-profits, they function the exact same way. Their party line is no, 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 no. But there are still ways to maneuver around that. And you maneuver by demonstrating your worth and the value add that you bring to that sphere. So if it's, you know, I have the output of 2 additional people, or I am partnering with X in this division that you didn't know about, and I am driving value for them in XYZ ways, you're still promoting yourself and helping the employer understand what a gold mine they have in you. And it is ultimately cheaper to give you a bump rather than hire 1, 2, 4 other people. And once they see that you have deeply, you know, entrenched yourself within the fiber of the organization, they're less willing to get rid of you and they are more willing to hear what you have to say. And, you know, I normally hate piggybacking on top of other people, but I will piggyback on top of Asifa and Cecilia. You know, what you get out of this course is the language to market yourself without sounding like a used car salesman or a timid, mealy-mouthed woman. You get the language that helps you appear assertive and confident, but not cocky or arrogant. We also cover a module on communication and the differences in style between men and women. So once you are aware of that, you're able to tailor your conversation to your audience. And that goes a long way as well. As far as, you know, how to get them to invest in you and invest in this course, I would say it's unlike any other professional development course you've ever taken, or I dare say that you will ever take. Typically, not-for-profits are willing to, you know, send you to a conference for a day and you get a dry syllabus and you choke on a Danish and that's that. But this is completely different. You know, you're forming professional bonds with peers from all over the world, which God only knows where that can ultimately take you. And again, what you learn is transferable. It's really 3D. Most other trainings are flat, really. And I'll stop because I've gone over my time, I'm sure.
You don't have to stop. And I feel like I need to be paying you for saying all these things. And I just want to reiterate again, I didn't ask the women to say anything. I just asked them if they'd be interested to come on and share their experience. And I said to them, please be honest, like no talking points. You say what you want, be honest. Like the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, please. So just a disclaimer. I didn't ask Elisa to say any of that, although I'm glad you did because it's very complimentary and I think it speaks to the value of the program that we hear about a lot. So thank you for sharing that. Nikki, one of the questions we've had through is about people who are freelancing, contracting or consulting, talking about, well, you know, like I want this consulting gig. Someone's just sent me a note, but like, what wriggle room do I have to move on that? Because obviously you want to keep your contracts because you've got to pay your mortgage and your bills. So you specifically had, when you came into the program, you actually were thinking about getting a full-time job versus staying in your own business. You decided to stay in your own business, which is amazing, by the way. If anyone's looking for communication and PR, Nikki is your woman. But you did manage to negotiate during COVID with a client. Do you want to talk through what you learned and I guess the key thing that shifted for you?
Yeah, so I think the big takeaway from the course in that regard was when you spoke about the wish, want, walk figure. So that dream goal where you said you don't even want to say it out loud. It's, it's got to be a ludicrous figure, but hey, wish for it. Then you want the parameters, I guess, that you want your salary to be in, and then the walk. And so when this client came to me, which is a huge private hospital provider in Australia, the figure they had put forward was in my walk phase. And so I was like, no. But as Meggie said, there's a mortgage to pay, there's 3 kids to send to school, there's all of that that's still weighing in the back of my mind. But Meggie's course had really given me that confidence to go, well, hang on, no, I've got 20 years experience, think about the things that I can contribute, what I could bring to that contract. And so I was ready to walk. And sure enough, they came back. And so the negotiation started improving, the figures moved, but also the terms moved, which for me was really important. So we were able to then talk about it in terms of deliverables, not just a set hours per week. I negotiated for it to be 3 days a week, again, so I could pick the kids up from school. It was all work from home. So I was able to negotiate a lot of different parameters that made it even more valuable to me than just the salary. So that for me was a real plus.
I love that. And I don't want to speak out of school. And I know that a lot of the information that we shared in the course is confidential and private, of course, and everyone always respects the Chatham House rules. But I do want to talk in general terms because I know I've spoken to some of you and you're comfortable about that. When you think about the because the course costs money, right? It costs money to do it. And that's the other sticking point I think sometimes people have. They're like, oh, like I do have a lot of bills to pay. And I always say to people, if you can't feed yourself or your family, you should not do the course. It's not a good idea. If you're drowning and you're just freaking out, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, take care of that. It's not a good fit if that's where you're at. But I think that there is a space for people who are a few years into their career all the way through to senior executives, as we know we've got on the call today. Like, let's talk about dollars and cents. Like, was it worth it? Because it does cost money, but then in terms of the return on investment, it's pretty clear for a lot of you who had, I think the smallest raise we had in this course was maybe 3,800 and it went all the way up to 6 figures. Would you believe it? There was actually a 100,000 plus raise in the course, which is amazing. Not normal. I wish that it was, but it does happen, right? And so very interesting. And that person was not necessarily a millionaire to start with. So you don't have to think it's totally out of reach. It is possible. And it did happen in this cohort. But typically we would see a lot of 4-figure raises and a lot of 5-figure raises. And this cohort was no different. So I just want to talk in general terms, like, was it worth it? Like, Asifa, from your perspective, was it worth it?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's definitely an investment, and then you have to look at, your budget and your, financial circumstances. And for me, it was, I really wanted to break the ceiling from a confidence and job perspective. And I really wanted to invest in myself. And that's how I thought about it. So if I invest that amount of money in myself, will it pay the dividends? And actually it paid the dividends because, I did get a pay rise. I got a new title, I've got a lot of recognition at work. So it's definitely, I've 3 times over, I've received the dividends for the investment that I made. But I think also just on a personal note, I think we all, especially women, we need that, support from our community and our cohort to be able to get the confidence and get that, courage to be able to do something different. And I got that from the course as well. So from my perspective, definitely worth the investment. Mm-hmm. It'll pay dividends for sure. And also look at strategies of how you can get your work potentially to reimburse you for it, or claim it in your tax as another. So if you're thinking, it's like just as a, arbitrary figure, say it's, $10,000, you can get some of that back in tax, right? So it's not $10,000, it's something else. Meggie helped with the pitching from a work perspective of how I can get that reimbursed. So I initially paid up, out of my pocket, and then over a few weeks, I was able to negotiate the reimbursement from my work. And she helped me with all of the positioning of that, and they did reimburse me 100%, which was a bonus for me.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And I think in this cohort, I think we had maybe 3 or 4 people whose work paid for the course. And then we also had a few people that went on a payment plan as well. So if you don't want to pay up front straight away, you can also pay over 3 months. That's an option too. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Cecilia, from your perspective, and also hello to Meenakshi, who's just joined us as well. Another student from the course. Nice to see your face.
Hi, Meggie. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Glad to be back here.
Well, listen, I've thrown you in the deep end here, but so you've come into the conversation straight when we're talking about money, which is a big conversation for this course. From your perspective, when you were thinking about the investment, like, should I pay this money? Like, will the return on investment be worth it? What would you say from your perspective?
So, I mean, money is one thing, and, getting back the salary raise is one thing. But if I summarize what I've gained, other than just getting my salary raise, is really the clarity. In terms of, there were things that were attracting me, but I didn't know why they were attracting me. And really that authenticity is something that I got out of the course. I got a lot of connection to myself and to my goals, and with that clarity and connection, I actually got more commitment to my goals. So it's definitely worth the investment. And yes, my work paid for it. But if they didn't, I was at that stage, and Meggie, we've had that chat before, I would have gone ahead and paid it for it myself. And yes, we can claim some part of it in the tax as well. So definitely worth the investment.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And the tax point is a good one. Of course, you should consult an accountant, etc. But a lot of people do claim it on their tax from a professional development perspective. Cecilia, I might come back to you because I know that your promotion raise season is coming up. So do you feel like there was the right amount of ROI for you given the investment?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I said to one of my colleagues who I recommended come here and check it out, it wasn't cheap, but it was worth it. Good coaching is worth the amount of money that you pay for it. Yeah, I haven't gotten a raise yet, though I did get an award with a bonus, which I may not have told you about. So
buried the lead. She got a bonus. We'll take it. We'll count that as a raise.
But I'm sure that, the raise will probably more than cover it. I got a bonus, and really for me, I'm thinking about moving sort of career tracks or industries. And I really thought I was going to have to take like a major pay cut to be able to do that. And, through this and some of the different segments and a lot of research helped out by the class, I'm really confident that I'll be able to at least keep my salary or maybe even improve it going into another industry. So like, that's invaluable, experience. So it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, that's such a good point. That's such a good point that you make there. And it is interesting because I think sometimes as well, we think a lot about our careers in high school and when we're in school, because that's what you do. And then I think a lot of us get into our, 20s, 30s, and then we're like, or later, or earlier, and we're like, wait, what? I have a career that I'm supposed to actually think about. I'm so busy like paying the bills and getting the kids ready for school and cooking dinner and like paying the mortgage or whatever. And you kind of just forget that actually there is space and capacity to think critically, laterally. And also one of the things that came out for me from the program as well was like this idea of a legacy and like what sort of a career do you actually want to do? Because sometimes we get thrown into a job which we may or may not be totally aligned with when we're 21, 25. And sometimes we don't stop to see, is that actually right for me? And I think this gives you the opportunity and the space to do that. And then to think about how to pivot, which is, I know, something that a lot of us discussed in this program. And sometimes I have a lot of students who say to me, I need to go back, I need to get a master's, I need to do this project management course for 9 months. And sometimes you do, but often actually you don't. Often there's ways we can help you translate your current skills into transferable skills so that you can get the job to figure out if you love it, and then maybe do they pay for you to go and do your master's or do your project management thing or whatever. Because I think sometimes we also make these excuses. I've got to do this. I can't do that until I do this. But actually, if you just spend some time on it, and I think the accountability piece that you raised, Cecilia, is really interesting. Alyssa, I wonder if that resonates for you, because I know that not-for-profit boards, so it's not just career that we talk about. Not-for-profit boards are a focus for you in the Chicago area. You're very well connected. You're invited by the Obamas to events in the past. Did this give you the space to kind of focus on different parts of your life as well?
Yeah, it definitely did. So one of the modules that we go through is really what Meggie said, how to pivot, how you can use the skills that you have, the passions that you have, and then figure out the various areas where they can be applied. Sometimes that does mean staying within your field or your sector, but a jump up in terms of title or position. But then there's also ways to maximize that with boards. Meggie is so incredibly well connected. I think you could just probably say, I like black licorice. And she was like, yeah, I know the guy who actually invented black licorice. Let me connect you. You'd love to have a conversation with him. Like, what? How does this even work? But I digress a little bit. I do serve on a couple of boards, but I am interested in using board relationships eventually to jog myself back to the East Coast, but gainfully employed. And I know that many positions never hit Indeed or any posting.
Yes.
They're all filled from within, and typically filled by people who have already cultivated a relationship with that particular organization. So what you learn in the course, you're able to parlay that, which will help you in the short term with expanding your network and building relationships, but also potentially in the long term. Meggie always taught us to consider the end game. You always want to be mindful where you want to be and how you're going to get there. And it doesn't matter so much that, you don't have whatever it is in the here and now. Plot out the steps to get there. So it's definitely beneficial.
Yeah, that's so true. We talk a lot about that idea of the end game, don't we? And I think also relationships, and whether it's a new job, whether it's a raise, whether it's a paid board position or not-for-profit board position, those relationships are so valuable. We've had a question come through, and feel free to send me through your questions if you have any. For anyone who's just joining us, we've got 5 of the amazing students from our last cohort joining us. They have not been given talking points. They have not been told that anything is off limits. It is an open slather for them to be open, for better or worse, as to what they thought about the program. So send me your questions, or if you want to just take yourself off mute, you can go ahead as well. Quick little activity. We've had a question come through. I'm gonna throw Meenakshi, you and Nikki in the deep end on this one. Someone's had an offer for a job that they've accepted. They've signed a contract, which is great. And they want to know, is there any point in doing the course because they can't negotiate straight away? And they're just kind of wondering, they're saying probably the course would have been helpful to get to that point, but now that they've got a new job, do you reckon there's any point? And I'd love you to kind of speak to, Nikki, is there anything that you thought in the course that you learned that would be helpful going into a new job? Do you think that there would be ROI for people like that as well?
I think 100%, because as Alicia was saying, all of the skills that we learned are transferable. So, I would envisage that, we're all still going to change jobs in the next 10, 20 years. These skills are about negotiating, self-worth, confidence. I mean, you can use them in every aspect of your life. So, I think 100% all the things that we've learned would be useful. And, starting a new job can be challenging. That can throw you confidence, go in there feeling great, have the confidence, in a new role, and you're only going to succeed even further as you progress in that role, I would think.
Yeah, that's a really great point, Nikki. I totally agree with that. It's funny, probably everyone here is pretty aspirational, fairly successful, right? So you're like, oh, I'm confident. Do I really need to be more confident? And I think obviously it's fine, it's fine. But I think if you put time and effort into focusing how you're perceived, how your confidence is perceived, how are you perceived at work by others, if you make those small tweaks, you can go from being good and fine and perceived as good and fine to being perceived as exceptional and someone who cannot possibly be lost from the company. And that's how you want to position yourself, right, if you're going to get those crazy salary bumps that we're looking for. Sophie, one of our students, has just joined as well. And Sophie, I'm going to throw you straight in the deep end if you are okay with this. And the reason I'm going to do that is because we've had a question from someone who's early in their career. They've only been working for 3 years and they want to know, okay, so Sophie's just going to be on audio, totally fine. They want to know, is it too early to do the course if they're just 3 years into their career?
Hi, everyone. No, I think that's, one of the points that I felt really lucky to be able to come into the course as someone who's more junior in my career. I've also had, previous roles that took me in different directions. So I feel like I'm starting afresh again. So for people who are sort of changing around and you feel like you're back at square one and sort of wanting to forge a new path, then I think it's fantastic because you're already in that mindset of thinking about, what am I doing now? What do I want to do next? You're new to maybe a different area, and the course really helps you solidify, was that the right move? Where I'm going next? Is it, is it part of that big picture of what I saw this change looking like? So for me, it was changing from different areas into law, and where I want to go next in my legal career is sort of, there is, a few stepping stones that I need to get through. And the course really helped me map that out and think about, okay, so is it just a change I want? Is it that I'm not happy where I am? Or, what does that change look like? Is it just moving somewhere else? Or more specifically, like, where is the best place for me to land? So it's, I think it's fantastic for all levels. And the other good thing about coming into it as someone who is more junior in their career is that you get to learn from everyone else who's already probably been through this 10 times. And they're much more progressive. They're having, their performance reviews or conversations about roles that they want to move into. And you sort of hear and learn what those next stages will look like. So you feel like you've got a bit of an insight as well as to what they're going through, even at, at their level. That these things don't necessarily get any easier. If I look to some of the members in the course, the women who were already, quite progressed in their career, and they're still saying, oh, this performance review is tough because, whatever happened, or just because they're not so comfortable with it. And you're like, oh, okay, so I still, it won't just automatically get easier later on if I don't work on it now. So invaluable, I think. Fantastic for all levels, and everyone gets something, slightly different out of it. But as a junior, it was fantastic.
Yeah, that's really great insight. Thank you, Sophie. I know you're getting ready for work, so thanks for jumping in there. Typically, to the person who asked that question, I see if I want to come to you as well. I know you've got your hand up. You're very professional with your hand up on Zoom. We typically say it's good to have had a couple of years work experience. So I think 2 to 3 years work experience is great. If you're straight out of uni into a job, it's a little tougher because you don't kind of know what the real world is. Do you know, like if you're in your first year of your career, you could do it and it'd be good, but I think it'd be better if you'd had 2-3 years at least. So, but yeah, I've got no dramas recommending it at that point in your career, as Sophie said. Plus, as she mentioned, you get the support of the community. Asifa, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add to Sophie's point and say, if you've just started your career and you're in there for a couple of years, this is the best time to do it, because we're doing it now in the peak of our careers. If I had known then what I know now, I'd be, I don't know, Prime Minister of Australia.
Or you'd be retired with all your pay raises.
Or retired. But I think it's good to do it. I would encourage young females to get ahead of their, career plan and think the long game, as we were talking about earlier. Do it early in your career, guys, because you're just going to have all these tools and, that Swiss Army knife in your pocket, which you take out and just put it in any situation. I highly recommended doing it a lot earlier, although it helped us and it helped me personally a lot doing it now, but I wish I'd done it a lot earlier.
Oh, well, that's really interesting, actually, because I hadn't actually thought about that, of the value of doing it really, really early on, in your career. And it's funny, a lot of people ask us to run programs for primary schools because they're like, let's get them confident and skilled up then, so then they can take it through their whole life, certainly into high school and beyond. So really interesting points there. We've had a question. Go ahead, Elisa.
I just wanted to represent those who are not early in their career. And I want to say that this program is appropriate for you wherever you are in the continuum. It is possible to teach an old dog new tricks. And you can't go wrong, whether you're a first job, whether you're a seasoned professional working for 20, 25 years, you will still walk away with information that you didn't have before.
Not that we'd be calling you an old dog, Elisa. I just want to, not that we would ever say that. But I hear what you're saying. You're saying that people who are early in their career versus people who have amazing years of experience. No, I really appreciate that. It's always, I feel like, why would I ever write my own marketing copy? I should just listen to you all. You explain things much better. The Swiss Army knife for your career. I'm going to steal that one. We've got a question here from Angelica. I mean, actually, I'd love to put this one to you. It's about specifically skills to own the room, navigate male-dominated teams. Negotiation is great, but really it's about how they present, how they are perceived, and negotiating, I guess, the politics and sort of maneuvering what that's like. Love to know your perspective based on your experience on this.
So stakeholder management was one of the key ones that we did in the course. And, negotiation is something I've, not just for my salary negotiation, I've used it everywhere. I've recently done a big deal with one of the customers, and I used that matrix that we did, Meggie, the 4 quadrants, to actually map out the stakeholders and what their avoids is, what is it that they would be looking for, and stuff like that. So stakeholder management and negotiation skills is something that I use everywhere, and I've got that from this course. And I've done many negotiation courses before, but I think this was personal to me. And because I was doing it, really understanding my personal strengths, I was able to use it much better.
Yeah, great point on the stakeholder management. I always love it. I love hearing that you still use the quadrant, because in the course, we do a weekly live coaching session. You get a live masterclass every week. And then there's also a back end, which is actually new and improved since you ladies did the program. So you'll be pleased to know that. So there's a back end that has the transcripts, if you're more of a reading person, if you want to catch up later, the videos, but then also calculators, toolkits, cheat sheets, scripts, all that kind of stuff. So you can put it into action, because sometimes you learn things and you're like, oh, that's cool. But then you're like, wait, what did I learn? You kind of want a refresher. So it has all that in there for you as well. Nikki, question for you, and I might put this to you as well, Cecilia and Soph. Did you practice role playing in the program? Did you practice the discussion about raises and things like that? Have someone playing your boss or yourself in the mirror? Was that a part of the course? Nikki, I'll throw that to you to start with.
Yes. Simple answer. Yes, we did. We did it a lot. And I think initially, we were all meeting up for the first time and we didn't know each other. We're in all different parts of the world. There's certainly a level of apprehension, but we did it so often, and we really became champions for each other in doing that, and we would give fearless feedback. And you would, feel really happy for someone when they nailed, one element they'd been working on. It was a really valuable part of the program, I think, having that chance. And, we're dealing with people who are in all different industries. So, I might have been role playing with Sophie and she was talking about legal terms or, that I've never heard, and she's hearing about television producing. So it's all really different, but it's still the same sort of skills that are going to be useful for everyone. And that role playing, I think, was really helpful in nailing that, And you even had us record it, Meg, we could watch it back and, give yourself that kind of fierce feedback that you need to improve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is a couple of exercises where I do make you get out your trusty cell phone and then I make you watch it back, which people are like, I hate you, Meggie. How could you make me watch myself? That's so awkward. And it is awkward, but that's good because that's part of it, right? It's about understanding, how are you perceived? How do you look when you present? One of the things that I even do, I touch my hair too much. it's a thing. I'm still working on it. But the only reason I know that is because I go through the exercises with the group as well, always. And so I watch it back and I'm like, oh, that was good. But like, I really need to stop playing with these crazy curls that I have. So yeah, that is part of it. There's heaps of breakout rooms. So I think every single session, right? We did at least 1 or 2 every session from memory in the curriculum. Yeah, so you'll be in breakout rooms. Typically it's groups of 2 or 3. And there is literally role play. So sometimes you'll get a script. Sometimes I let you go off piste and be creative, but sometimes you do get a script, like 2 or 3 questions. So you're the boss, I'm myself, and then vice versa. So yeah, that's totally part of it as well. If anyone has any questions, pop them in the chat and come on in. I'll just open this up to the former students. What were your hesitations? Like when you were thinking about joining, like what were you kind of like, oh, I don't know, why were you on the fence? Is there anything that springs to mind? I don't know, Sophie, what about you? Anything that made you sort of hesitant about joining?
Yeah, kind of getting flashbacks this morning. It was the early mornings in that we start at the office at 8:30 usually. So I had to be a bit creative in how I could participate. And, I made it work. It was definitely, sort of worth the reshuffle and sort of reorganizing my day. And sometimes that would mean starting work from home before the course and then doing the course from home and then, sort of continuing on the day. So I think it was just sort of trying to figure out that logistics and putting a plan in place so that I could do it. I think work would have been on board with it if I had sort of talked them through it and said what I was going to do, but I actually thought it would be easier just not to and then figure it out myself in that they're flexible, but they might have had some hesitations or sort of, it would have made me feel more conscious of the time that I was doing the course, but it's, I always made up the hours. So, I just saw it was logistically easier not to. But that, I think that did put a bit of pressure on me at the beginning to sort of figure out how to do it. So once I got that sorted though, it really showed me that I do have an extra 3 hours in the week. If I set the time aside, I have 3 hours to work on career planning, to work on contacting people, building networks, to, work on my CV or whatever it is that you need to do in terms of the next step. So without the course, having to be present for people on a video call, you just don't set that time aside. And since the course is finished, I've set aside much less time. So I think I've already seen the repercussion of not being in the course.
That's so interesting. And it's funny you say that, so because a lot of people said to me in the feedback afterwards, one of the favorite things was that I found all this extra time in my day. And I was like, that was not part of my plan, but I'm happy that was a lovely consequence. So the course, so you need to commit to 1 hour a week for the live session. If you can't make it, stuff happens, totally get it. There is a recording, right? So you can obviously watch that back later. You can ask any questions in the Slack channel at any time of the day or night, to me, to the cohort, to all of the above. So the course is, if you're in Sydney, the course starts at, hang on, I want to get my time zones right. I think it's 8 a.m. your time, which is 6 p.m. where I am in New York City, which is 10 p.m. I think for our London friends who are here today. So that's the time frame of the course. And so you do get access to the recordings afterwards, obviously, and then you have the 24/7 sort of access in the Slack channel and follow-up questions, and I didn't quite get this, can you reiterate, or how does that apply to me, that kind of stuff. And then the session is live, and so there's a masterclass in the first component of the live call, and then the back half of the call is live coaching. So you can kind of brainstorm stuff if there's issues at your work, if there's something that's come up in the content that you want to specifically dive into. Then you can ask me that, you can ask the cohort. And that was what I loved last time, actually, because you would all jump in with different pieces of advice, or, Nikki was really great on the presentation stuff. And then Asifa would have really great feedback, and Cecilia as well on some of the negotiations and the strategizing. So it's always nice as well. Yes, there's content. Yes, we know it gets results because I've been using it for years with our Fortune 500 clients. But the added stuff of the community is kind of like, for me, it was like the icing on the cake. And it was probably for some of you the best bit. I don't know if you're allowed to pick favorites, but I know it was like a real highlight for a lot of people. Okay, a question here from Ruthie. What was your most fun module? Was it the Zone of Genius section? Who wants to tackle this one? and then everyone's going to go off mute at the same time. Meenakshi? Oh, power posing. Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, I really like the zone of genius one. It really brought out the strengths for me, and it was that part plus going back to my contacts and talking to people about what they see in me. And if you remember, Meggie, I actually realized there was a gap in my strengths and what people see here. And when I went back to further back in my career early on, and in my school, I realized they were able to list my strengths straight away. So I realized that I was probably, I was new to the country, and in my attempt to fit in, I was actually not backing my own authentic self. So that was a big realization, and actually shifted my personality completely. And the feedback that I've been getting from the last 6 months from almost everyone, the consistency there is that they've seen a shift in me, and they see a new me.
Really?
They see a new confident me. And that's come from that zone of genius, because I back my own strengths now. So yeah, that was my favorite part.
I don't think you told me that. That's so interesting. Thanks for sharing that. Nikki, I wonder about you, because I know you were in a bit of a quandary when you came in. You were like, oh, do I try and get a new job? Do I take this sort of offer? Do I? And the balance, I think, and like your purpose seems a lot clearer to me. I wonder if that's how you feel as well.
Oh, 100%. Yes, definitely. And that, it was a real highlight when we did those personality quizzes and the tests, and that was so thorough. And to see then, oh, actually, yeah, that is why I'm good at that, because that's just kind of how my brain is. And I was in that point where I was thinking, oh, well, this is easy to me, so maybe I need to try something completely new and learn a whole new skill, because I can do that with my eyes shut. But you taught me, well, actually, that's because I'm good at that. I'm not good at other things, or I may not, other people may not have those same skills that I do. So there's value in that, and there's confidence that should come with that, because that's a good skill to have, and people will want to employ me for that skill. So that was definitely something that came forward. And I think what Sophie said too was that investment in time, the same thing. 3 kids, mornings are insane here, but actually it worked. I managed to do it, and my husband helped, and we made it happen. And investing that hour and a half on a Tuesday morning was brilliant. So that was a really great thing to pull out of it too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We got
I love
to
it.
say
Go ahead.
We got to say hi to a lot of beautiful children in the camera, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And actually, Julia, who she's in London, so it's very late where she is. Otherwise, she would have joined us. She had a newborn, I think. I think her little girl was maybe 2 months old or something, 2.5, 3 months when she joined. So yeah, we would often have the baby join, which was quite nice, even though it was virtual. It did feel nice having a baby in the room sometimes. I always say to people, if you've got dogs, children, it's PG rated content, it's fine. They're welcome to join us. So yeah, no worries. If anyone has no problem at all. Now listen, if there's any questions or if anyone wants to riff anything else, feel free to jump off mute or send me a chat in the chat box as well. For anyone who is on the fence on the course, on the call today, I want to kind of offer you something that these students had in the first cohort, and that was a one-on-one session. We don't do that anymore because we don't have, frankly, time with the corporate clients, but because you've all joined today, and I really just appreciate that, and I'm so glad that you got to meet some of the students, I want to offer that to you. So if anyone on the call is on the fence, we do have a 14-day money-back guarantee, so that's good. If you don't like it, I don't want to be taking your money. That's not fair to me, so I want to be genuine about that. But if you are on the fence, and if you do want to join today, go ahead, because anyone that books today, like before midnight Eastern time, which is, I guess, like a couple of hours away, I'm happy to do a one-on-one session with you, which I did with this cohort as well. And I think that was really valuable. So I want to pay that forward and offer to everyone on the call today. So I'll go ahead and pop 5 hours. Thank you, Cecilia. See, spot the details oriented consultant. I'll pop the code, use this code. This code's actually expired. I just reactivated it because I've just loved this conversation so much. And I didn't think we would go this long, but we have. So there you go. So use this code. I'm just going to pop it in so that everyone on this call has the opportunity. And maybe this is a good opportunity. Like, Cecilia, how the one-on-ones for you, was that helpful for you as well in your journey?
Yeah, I thought they were super helpful. You know, you're really good at figuring out what we need to focus on and like getting a plan. Like there was one week that I needed to like redo my resume and write a cover letter and like 4 other things all at the same time. And Meggie was like, okay, we got this. We can do that. We'll figure it out. So they were really helpful. Yeah.
And from memory, wasn't that at the time when you live in Washington, D.C., wasn't the Capitol being stormed that day as well?
Yes.
And you were like, I've got a job thing that's due tomorrow. And I was like, okay, this is what we're doing.
It was quite the week, yeah.
Quite the week. We got there though. We got there. That's one of my goals as well, is to kind of hold you all accountable, right? Because I think life is busy, stuff happens. And so the 10 weeks is around structure, regular catch-ups, to Nikki's point as well, and accountability. And so every week there is a task, right? You don't have to do it, but if you don't do it, you're not going to get the full amount of value out of the program, right? And so I will hold you accountable to that, albeit gently, but I want you to have that progress, because I know that if you don't do it, then it won't be as much of a hockey stick growth for you. So I'll hold you accountable in the Slack group and also in the sessions as well. Elisa, from your perspective, the one-on-one sessions that I'm offering to everyone on the call today, were they super valuable for you as well?
Yes, they were. As everyone has said, you provided structure, and again, you're so well connected. It's very easy to get benefit, because if you don't have the answer, you can connect us with somebody that potentially does have the answer, or that can help us excuse me, think about things a little bit differently. There's always a balance of perspective, and so that I appreciated greatly.
Thank you. No, that's great to hear. And, you know, I was a journalist for a long time, and as Nikki's a journalist too. So when you're a journalist, you get very comfortable asking questions and reaching out to people who you don't know. And so it's such a joy to always pay that skill forward. Sharon, go ahead. Yeah, feel free to just take yourself off mute. Love to hear your question.
I'm so sorry. I was trying to find the opportunity moment, but I was like looking for the button, but
no, you're fine.
I really appreciate like you guys like telling me about like Sophie, especially how you're early on in your career. Like I do have about 2 years of work experience, but I'm literally starting my role the day the Level Up program starts, like next Monday, and it's the first role that I'm taking on like since a major career pivot. And I'm on the fence. I was on the fence about like the Level Up program, because I was like, oh my God, it's such a like, I'm gonna have like such trouble like catching up and like keeping up at work. Like, I have to learn everything. Like, should I also like take this on? But yesterday when Meggie was talking, like I think I should like start like talking, tracking and asking, like proactively kind of prepping myself. Yeah, I got it. So I do feel like it's something that maybe I should, maybe it's perfect that I'm starting a new job, and I should also like start this as well. But I also was wondering if like the cohort is like has more like years of careers, like would I be kind of the odd one out? So yeah, that was my like what I'm like still like kind of thinking about. So yeah, but I really appreciate everything that people have said. Like it was really like insightful.
Great questions, and congratulations on your new job. Sophie, if you're still there, I might throw it quickly to you, and then I'd love to hear from the other women as well, because I think that, you know, it is stressful starting a new job, right? There's no question. It's definitely stressful. So you would be adding an extra hour onto your week for sure. So that's something you have to take into consideration. I have thoughts on this, but you know, of course I would have thoughts on this. That's the whole point of it. It's not about what I think, it's about what others think. Nikki, Asifa, what do you think?
I really liked that there was a whole range of us at different stages in our career. I found that really insightful to learn from the different stages. Yeah, for me that was a positive to take out of it.
Yeah, same here. Like there was such a variety of experience, and everybody had different experiences and different stories and different challenges to overcome. So, you know, you kind of listen to what everybody's experiences have been and how they've tackled it, and then you know that you're equipped with how to tackle it when you you know, experience something similar as well. And with the work, I think Sharon, I would advise that maybe you're starting your new role. Maybe you're upfront with your management team and let them know that you're investing in yourself, and you need that 1 hour or 2 hours a week, and you'll add that 1 hour or 2 hour in other things. And I think most leaders should be appreciative of that, because if you're investing in yourself, that shows positive initiative.
Yeah, that's a really great point. The other thing from my perspective, and Elisa, I'd love your thoughts on this. Like, I kind of feel, and this is, my business is called PepTalkHer, like it's all about pep talks. And, I felt like it was like a weekly pep talk in the sessions, but then also like the Slack channel, I'd wake up and I'd be like, woo, 8 notifications, like what's going on? Like, it does kind of feel like you've got like a bit of a personal cheer squad. I don't know. That's my perspective though. What did you think, Elisa? I wonder if that'd be helpful for Sharon,
You definitely have a group of women cheering for you. And if you love technology and if you live by Slack, your phone will blow up. I'm not necessarily of the generation where I, have my eyeball peeled to Slack, but it was really nice to, see the notes that would come through. And again, I can't help but say it. You really form sisterhood in this program, and you lean on your sisters, and you get what you can from them, and they happily offer support to you, and that is priceless.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it does. Listen, it was always about forming a community and relationships, right? But the sisterhood idea is, that resonates with me. And Nikki, you've got a woo-woo statement. You are not a woo-woo person. So this is a big deal for you. Talk us through.
No, I just exactly what Alicia was just saying, that sisterhood. And that was something that was a surprise out of the course thing. I wasn't expecting that. And it was such a lovely element. And, even, after doing the hour or the hour and a half, whatever that day was, I genuinely felt so uplifted and positive, not just that day, but through the whole course. It was really empowering and lovely.
Yeah, and that saying that what do they say? You sort of take on the energy of the 3 or 5 most people that you spend time with. Mm-hmm. I feel like the career level up kind of becomes like an amalgamation of one of those people. For the 10 weeks, you've got your other 4, and then this is kind of a collective one person. Wonderful energy and just great humans with fascinating insights. And there's a structure around those conversations. We didn't necessarily ask, what did you have for dinner last night? That's not really what we were here for, but it was very much like, how did that conversation with your boss go? What can we learn from that? Did you do the wish, want, walk? Has everyone been tracking successes this week? Have we got, it was structured. So, that's one of the positives as well. I feel like we could talk for hours, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time and let you go. Final comments to the students. If you've got any last minute questions, send them through, but final comment from you, Asifa.
Look, I think this course has been, a game changer for me, and I've made some, I guess, lifelong friends as well in this cohort, and I'll be definitely catching up with it. And I think I also want to add the one of the things was we got to see Meggie in person at the end, which was phenomenal as well. So guys, I fully support Meggie and the course. Do it for yourself, invest in yourself, and feel free to reach out to us if you have questions afterwards. So, find us on LinkedIn and send us a message. Happy to respond back to you guys.
Thank you. So generous, Asifa. Thank you so much. Elisa, go ahead.
Okay. My parting words, I guess, would be, if the money conversation is your conversation, get over it. For me, I really wasn't sure if I wanted to invest this kind of money in me, which is really quite foolish when you think of all the other things that we devote money to. But it was really one of the best investments in self that I've made. And you won't know it until you get in it or on the other side. But if you can just take a leap of faith and trust what we're saying, you won't be disappointed.
Again, did not pay Elisa to say that. Had no idea she was going to say that. I'm so delighted to hear that it had such a great impact. Thank you. That's awesome. Nikki.
What Alicia said. Just do it. Exactly what she said.
I don't think so. I think Sophie's getting ready for work. Sophie, if you're there, feel free to jump in. But I think you're, oh no, there she is. Go ahead, Sophie. Hello.
Sorry, I heard my name before, but I was running around. My parting words would be, look, like things don't always go as well as we'd like them to. And I think part of what's amazing about the course is, you know, you deal with all the issues as well. So it's not just like, okay, I'm going to be, you know, working on these tasks, I'm going to be building these skills, and then I'm going to do it at work, and they're going to see that and automatically compensate me. So it's not always going to go as smoothly as we'd like it to, or as it perhaps should be in terms of recognition. And I think what's fantastic about the course is when things don't go as we'd like them to, you know, you get so much feedback and so much support for what to do. Like for me, there were some, you know, speed bumps and issues that I faced with work. And when I didn't feel like, well, you know, this isn't working, how to then, you know, change that perspective and getting that support when things aren't going so well, I think is invaluable. Where, you know, you're going to have a lot of cheerleaders in your life and they're going to support you. And then when things, you know, don't go so well, they mightn't know what to do, or they mightn't know what to say, and, you know, they're supportive, but it's more about, okay, but what are the actual actions I should take? And that's what the course has really helped me with. So yeah, I think any stage, if you've got, if you've got, you know, great support, great movement in your career, and you're happy where you're going, like that's fantastic. Things can always change. So it's fantastic to have support on either side, you know, where things are going well, when things aren't going so well.
Yeah, it's a really good. Thanks, Sophie, and thanks for joining us when you're getting ready for work. I know it's early. Thank you. It's been such a treat to sort of have this mini reunion and also share their thoughts. As I said, very honest. I did not tell anyone what to say. I just wanted people to be honest. And I wanted to share that with you for better or worse so that you can make your own decision. Hopefully it's been for better. I've certainly learned a lot about some of the outcomes that the students had today as well, some of the things I didn't even know. So this has been great. The course starts on Monday. I'm really looking forward to it. If you're interested, if you've got more questions, you can reach out to me directly. Otherwise, jump on peptalkher.com/level up. And you can, if you add that to the cart and sign up today, I'm going to do a free one-on-one session with you, which will be awesome. Really excited about that. So make sure that you jump in there and sign up today and use the special code as well for a special discount for you that has ended, and I've just reactivated it to last today. So make sure you go ahead and use that code as well so you get that discount. This has been awesome. Thank you to the former students, and thank you to all of you. I know your time is very precious. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day to chat with us and to learn from these students. Hopefully you've learned something, if not quite a few things. This has been awesome. Thank you so much again. And we will be in touch via emails. Any questions, drop me a note. Thank you, students. I appreciate it. This has been fun. Have a great weekend, everyone. See you soon.
Bye. See you. Bye.